Quirksmith is a brand of handcrafted jewelry. We started in 2016. I started it with Divya, who's also my sister, and she's the one who creates all the beautiful designs. I look at the business side of things. So I look at marketing, sales, website, all of that, and Divya heads production and design. About Quirksmith, a little bit more. We're a small team of about 14 craftsmen and about 5 people on the business side.
Okay.
While craftsmen are all men, the people on the business side are all women. Right from me to operations. But I think I'll get into the questions of the industry in general. As we go along.
Yeah, so absolutely. In your experience, now you yourself said most of your craftsmen, all of them are men.
Sure.
What's the reality? Like, there are lesser women in the in the manufacturing side. Is there lack of skill, or is there lack of availability? What is it like?
No, I think jewelry has traditionally in India been run as a business. It was never run as a design first and a product second industry. It was more a business of, just print all these by print, just manufacture all these standard motifs together and match multiple traditional motifs to make like a earring, a necklace. There was no real understanding of design or the effort also of design. It was almost, commoditized to an extent where people even today, when they buy silver or gold jewelry, they want to look at the weight of the product. Traditionally, it's been an industry that is run as a business. As a result, there traditionally have been men running the business.
I said because it's a business, probably there's been more involvement of men, and it's always been like an investment rather than rather than a piece of passion, so to say.
Yeah, and the thing is also that there are parts. I'll speak for the industry at large. In general, women are involved in the kind of, even today, women are involved in the in work like, there's something called povai, which is putting the beads in a thread and making a necklace out of it. Or kind of the softer aspects of making the jewelry. The actual hand making product process, which is something like what I'm wearing, this is a piece made by hand where you roll silver into thin sheets and then you cut it with a ari, like a saw for jewelry. And you put this together using a hand torch to solder the parts together. That's the kind of work that traditionally men have been involved in. And because of, I think, its involvement of a slightly higher level of, I would say, just normal strength required. It traditionally, I feel, started as that, and it has kind of stayed because no one in the business tries to solve problems, solve things that are not broken already. People running businesses typically have been running it traditionally in a certain way, and no one questions it till it is working. I think for the industry at large, it works. Even in our case, like I said, most of the craftspeople are men. Partly because the skill of silversmithy is something that is learned over time, and traditionally men are the ones who are training. As a result, men are the ones who are getting trained because women have we tried training a few women in our early days to have some people start from scratch because we wanted to change that. I feel like there is still a long way for us to go. But there is an intent. But I'll tell you where it fails, right? Because the teachers, the trainers are men. Women don't want to, their husbands don't want to send them to work in a place where they are being taught by other men. and those kind of things kind of start coming in your way when you want to train a young woman to do silversmithy. So which is why I think even in our case, most of our workshop is men. So for us to get the first woman into this room, it'll take her coming from a well-meaning husband or a family that in her circumstances allows her to come there. And I think once you have those first 1, 2, 3 people, then the cycle will catch up.
Yes. I know what you're saying, and unfortunately in our society I think women need a lot of family support to sort of do something.
Yeah.
Have you ever encountered a female silversmith?
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and this is something I spoke to Divya about before joining, because she's the one who's actually been in the industry for the last 15 years.
Okay.
And yes, in her 15 years, she has never come across a female silversmith.
So, as sad as this reality is, now that you've been working in this industry, what do you feel can be done to include women in the in this supply chain? It's not just being the silversmith. I think there are other manufacturing stages as well. How, in your opinion, can we, we as women involve more women in the supply chain? Because at the end of the day, we are missing out on a lot of human resources, specific human resource.
I agree.
Maybe a male member is better at something, but we still don't know if the same job is handed off to a girl, how will she do it?
Yes,
she has the training, of course.
Yeah. So I think if I take Worksmith example, in terms of where women are involved, the only process that they are not today involved in is the actual silversmithy. But outside of silversmithy, everything is run by women at Worksmith, right from operations to, we use threads in some of our work. So the actual process of putting a thread. We also do wall decor now, which is slightly away from jewelry, but all the painting and finishing of wall decors is done by women. Packaging, customer service, everything is done by women. I think specifically to silversmithy, and even for other companies, I think men are dominant in jewelry, in the craft making piece of it. And also right now, I would say there are men running manufacturing units. So these are also business owners who are not really maybe bringing out designs as much as a B2B business model to sell to different businesses and stores. What will change? I think it is changing, but it will be very slow. I think the first change that has come is in the sense that there is, like I said, there is more emphasis on design. As a result, you have women in senior positions in a lot of the design companies, whether you think of Carrot Lane, Shaya, whether you look at a lot of other jewelry labels, Adya, Flying Fish, Suta and Saris, they're all run by women. So I think that is the first step, that now there is a need for design. There is a need for women to design jewelry for their own, where the consumers are going to be women. So, think of a lot more things around language and comfort, and not just think of it as a business. So I think the first step is just this.
Right.
More and more. And I feel like that is the way to change in any industry, not just jewelry. Unless and until there are not women in senior positions, the decision, it is never a big enough problem, for unless there is a well-intended person there. I'm not saying men are not well-intended, but I have a personal agenda to solve when I am leading a company, and I want women to be trained in parts of the job that they traditionally haven't been trained. So I think the first step is a lot more women in higher positions to drive down some of these agendas.
I think that's a fantastic idea. Women in senior roles are actually that makes a huge difference. I want to know, Pragya, about your journey. Um, you know, you've done the very ambitious Ivy League. You've had the Ivy League path, and then you've left your job, and then you started this company. You've joined this company as a co-founder, and you've how was it making that choice?
I think Quirksmith was born out of just the passion. For me and Divya, we are sisters. We're real sisters. I think it started with almost as an excuse for us to do something creative together, because Divya's always been on the creative side of things, and I've been in a consulting management role, and we never thought that our paths would ever cross professionally. But when both of us happened to move to Bangalore in 2014-15, that's when the idea sprouted to do something together. And Divya was already designing on the side, helping one of her friends create create a jewelry line. And
how did you, from a consulting background, help in the in this business? What immediate value addition were you able to add as soon as you joined?
So I was the one who left my corporate job first and started Quirksmith, and Divya came in later because we realized that Divya was still designing on weekends for Quirksmith on the side.
This was a side hustle
for almost 18 months. So we were doing these weekend pop-ups at Kish Mandi, which used to be a very cool pop-up market that used to happen in Bangalore, with like amazing vibe and amazing people. And we started taking our product there. The first stall we bought for like 6,000 rupees for a 3-day show, and we took some 80 pieces across like 20 designs, and we got sold out by the afternoon next day. So that first experience was really encouraging. So whatever little profits we made, we put that back into creating more designs. We signed up for Kish Mandi again, in a couple of months. So almost for 18 months, we did a lot of these pop-ups across Bangalore. We started a Facebook and Instagram page and started posting pictures of the products. And there was a lot of, appreciation for the work that we were doing. And I think 18 months of doing that as a side hustle, I was at a point in my career where I wanted to try something else. I had been in consulting and strategy for almost 8-9 years until then. And then in 2015, I actually thought I'll, give Quirksmith my 100% and see where it takes us. And it was, so I think my involvement in the initial days was, I was a single person doing the back-end work. Divya was still designing, and we had a workshop in Jaipur with one person who was making all her designs. And I was looking at the website development, it took us 3 months to get the website up and running. And then after that, there has been no looking back. I thought of it as a one-time project where I'll do this thing for 10 months and then hand it over to Divya to run it. But I was enjoying myself too much to not stick around. And then Divya also quit and joined full-time because we wanted a lot more designs. Production was getting bigger.
And I see your website, Quirksmith. I not only see jewelry, I see a lot of creativity, and For some reason, usually jewelry websites have a vibe of showing like a vibe of flamboyancy, but your website gives a vibe of like a unique kind of a vibe, very rebellious, very outspoken, feminine, rebellious, women, unconventional women, unconventional photo shoots.
Hmm.
So, when you started the brand, was this the kind of impression you wanted to give out? Is your
Hmm.
audience also the unconventional Indian woman?
Sure. So, I think we were clear of one thing that, I mean, a lot of it is Divya's vision was to have jewelry that is always a conversation starter. And I think even today, the biggest compliment for us is when customers write back to us, women write back to us saying, I went here and there, here and here, and 20 people walked up to me and asked me about my ring, which says Aham Brahmasmi. So I think it has always been a conversation starter, and that was the one objective that we have in mind every time Divya is designing something new. That has kind of stayed.
You always wanted to make your jewelry brand a conversation starter. How did you stick with that vision, throughout when you saw your business growing?
Sure. So I think conversation and starter is the design aspect of the jewelry. The other design aspect is also who am I designing for? That brings back to the first, the other question that you asked. I think we're very clear of who's the person that we're speaking to. That is not to say that it's only that kind of a woman who's buying our jewelry or that kind of a person who's buying our jewelry. Obviously,
Okay.
a lot other people join in. But when we are designing, when Divya's designing, she's designing for a person who's, I guess, at the end of the day, very similar to us, who
Yeah.
had, who's who's standing out not because of her flamboyancy, but because she has weight
Yeah.
to add in a conversation.
Yeah.
You know,
Like the banana weight.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, I think we keep that in mind. So a typical, an ideal Quirksmith customer is, someone who's independent, who can think for herself, and someone who's on a path of becoming a better person. On their own self-discovery, a journey of self-discovery, and these are the kind of themes that you see across the designs also that come out. For instance, शोर नहीं एक नई आवाज की शुरुआत हूँ. I'm not noise, I'm the start of a new voice, or Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am the universe, I'm the creator of my own destiny, and I'm responsible for what I become. These are the kind of things that kind of convey the same message in a different language or in a different form, and we've stuck to that theme. We're still speaking to the same person, and I think when you're designing for someone who is like you, it is not very difficult to, I mean, you don't move away from the design language a lot, because you at the end of the day, you're designing things that you relate to, and there are people like you or in that journey who relate to what you're saying, and they kind of join in.
Yeah, and I think it's very encouraging if I wear something that reminds me of the fact that I choose my own path and I choose my own destiny.